All right. Good morning, everybody. All right. We've ran over all of our individual class expectations. Now we're ready to dive into Chapter 1. Let me remind y'all guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me outside of this class. But this is the time for you to ask questions. Just speak up and I'll stop and give you the opportunity to ask your questions. Dynamics of leadership. If y'all have read ahead, which I'm hoping you have, if you haven't, that's okay too. Who can tell me the difference between a leader and a manager? Does anybody know the difference yet? Not yet? All right, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Leaders typically work with others on their management team to do long-term planning. So a leader inspires you, they lead you, they mentor you, they encourage you. Yes, they facilitate decision-making. It's all of that is distinctively different between a manager who runs the operation, okay? A manager manages the work. They develop tactical objectives. They are the ones where a leader follows through with the goals. A manager are the ones that create the goals. Does that make sense? And it is a big difference. So basically there, if you look on page 5 in the middle, I want you to highlight under leadership and management. Leadership focuses on the what and why of the organization, okay? They focus on the what and why, where the managers deal with the how. How are we going to achieve these goals? They're going to set up your standard operating procedures. They're going to be the ones that define how something's going to be done. Whereas leaders, they're going to encourage the employees to get it done. They're going to lead them into getting it done. Does that make sense to you guys? There is a big difference. And if you look at that exhibit on the bottom, 1.2, you're going to notice the different components and where leaders and managers fall into place with that. All right. And that's something you got to think about. You as a employee for an organization, do you want to be in a role of a manager or would you rather be in a role of a leader? I would like to be a little of both, to be honest. I would like to know that I can structure specific things that need to be done to achieve goals, but I also would like to know that I can encourage my employees to get that done. I can inspire them, mentor them, that sort of thing. So anyway, make sure you understand the difference between the two, okay? Some leadership qualities. Leadership is the ability to inspire and motivate employees. That's what I just said. To act in ways that are in line with the vision of an organization. So when you work for an organization, your organization has a vision, all right? They have goals. And your job as a leader is to encourage and motivate your employees to fulfill those, all right? Now, some of the ways that you can be an effective leader is provide direction. It's to lead consistently. Now, when I say consistently, that means you can't be not doing what you want your employees to do, right? If I'm a leader or a manager and I'm late every day, what type of example is that setting for my employees? If I'm going to ask you to watch food waste, I need to be watching food waste, right? So it's basically not do as I say, it's follow by example. Agreed? I mean, that follows through even in our own lives. We should teach our children that way. We shouldn't be behaving one way and expecting our children to behave another. That it just doesn't work that way. I promise you, you guys would call me out if I am not being an effective leader as your instructor, right? You'd be saying, hey, chef, you ain't never here on time. Why are you expecting me to, be here on time? You influence others. You build teamwork. This is why I wanted this setting. I wanted us to come together like this because it builds teamwork. We are a team, a body of students. We are a team. When you're in the kitchen, you're a team. Okay. Yes, you need to take care of your business, stay in your lane, as I hear in the kitchen, but you're still a team, and either that team is going to succeed or that team is going to fail. And if that dinner service doesn't go over exemplary, however you say that word, you failed. And it's not a failure on one, it's a failure on the whole team, because that customer is not looking at you, they're looking at the whole restaurant. It's a failure, right? So you've got to build teamwork. You got to coach and develop, all right? We've got to coach and develop. We've got to encourage. We've got to have training. You can't expect somebody to step into a position and know what to do. And they champion change. Obviously, you know, hey, if I didn't tell y'all were doing a great job, how would y'all feel? If I didn't give you encouraging words, if I didn't build you up, if every time I talked to you, I was downing you or calling you out, I wouldn't be championing change, right? Sometimes people need to be built up to want to give you 150%. Y'all follow that? All right, so restaurant and food service managers must exhibit all of these traits. You really can't pick and choose. You really need to try to have all of these. You can look there at Exhibit 1.3. And my take, I want y'all to read that, interpersonal skills and employee development. My overall take on that is, guess what? You need to lead, you need to guide, you need to inspire, but you have to do all of this with empathy and kindness. And I'm going to use last class as an example. Now, we have guidelines, we have rules to follow, but if I'm not understanding to some of your situations, what kind of leader would I be? So you have to adhere to the guidelines, you have to adhere to the rules, but you also have to be kind, okay? And that's this whole course. I'm going to hold up this book. This whole course is being an effective leader and an effective manager. I kind of wish we would have done this course first before going into marketing, because this is about you. This is about you as a manager, you as a leader, how to bring out the best in your team. So if your goal right now is to own a business, you need to be diving into this book, all right? If you want to own a team, own a business, have employees, or work in a 5-star restaurant with a team behind you, you need to dive into this book, okay? Let's talk about overview of the manager's process. There's some basic management activities that are required of you as a manager. Now, keep in mind, remember. Y'all caught that? Keep in mind, right? I get to going in my head and I start twisting things. There's a difference between a leader and a manager. I can't say that enough, okay? Leader, manager, they're not the same. So keep that in mind. Don't get them confused with each other. Can a leader be a great manager? Absolutely. Can a manager be a great leader? Absolutely. But there is a defining difference between the two, right? Right? Y'all got it? Everybody with me?
Heard.
I don't hear a lot of herds.
Heard.
For those I can see. Perfect. All right. So planning is one of those activities. Remember I talked about managers are the ones that set your goals, develop standard operating procedures. Planning is one of them. Again, identifying the goals, deciding how to achieve the goals, developing ways to get the work done. Remember, leaders are the ones that encourage the employees to do it, right? But the managers are the ones that create it. Defining difference. All right. So you can read through some of that. I'm not going to read all of that. They have to organize. They're the ones that organize the basic management activities that involves arranging work tasks. What are some work tasks that need arranging? What's the top of the one off the top of your head?
The scheduling for your employees.
Absolutely. What else? What would be some things that need to be scheduled? They give you some in the book, so if you can't think of any off the top of your head, think about authority. They're the ones that set up the authority, chain of command. Who's your, I know for me, I'm an adjunct instructor. My boss ahead of me is Chef Dahl. She is the program manager. Above her is Chef Vossenberg. She's the director, and above her is Dr. Markowitz. So if you ever get called to his office, you might need to be worried. That'd be like going to the principal's office, right? So anyway, they take care of like staff positioning. They develop the staff positions. They're the ones that are going to set the organization and what needs to be done in that retrospect. Now, coordinating. They coordinate the basic management activities. They arrange group efforts and work together effectively. They handle responsibilities. They handle staffing. They handle directing. They handle controlling. And I'm not reading all of these. You guys are adults. I just want to point out the highlights to identify what a manager does. All right. They evaluate. Now, at the end, they're the ones that are going to evaluate the basic management activities and see if it's working, if the plan was attained, okay? And then they'll be the ones to make adjustments, right? All right. Now, this is the point in your book I need you to pay extra special attention to because this will be part of your project. You're going to have to think about this, all right? And you're going to have to know it on your quizzes. It'll be on there, giving you fair warning. You're going to have to know it for your final. And that is different management styles. And that's on page 10. So make sure you're paying attention to that. You're going to have to determine what type of management style are you going to put into place. Are you going to be autocratic, which is a domineering type manager that exhibits ultimate control over their employees? Now, my husband, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I think I told you on marketing, I was CFO for his commercial electrical contracting company for, over 30 years. All right. That's what gives me the authority to sit here in front of you guys and teach you management, marketing, and yada, yada, yada. He was autocratic. He's old school, where you did it his way, and if you didn't like it, you could hit the road. And he was a micromanager, and he was in control. Bottom line, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. For lack of better terms, he was autocratic. And I finally convinced him to retire because in today's society, not many younger generations, he's 74, so older generations operated like that. You ever notice your grandpa or your dad, they're a little more stern and hardcore. It's do what I say and do it now, that sort of mentality. They don't really possess the ability, some of them don't anyway, my husband don't, to be an encourager and inspire. He definitely was an autocratic manager. He was not, quote, a sympathetic leader. All right. So that's what autocratic is. It's hardcore. All right. Now, bureaucratic is relying on written rules and regulations. Things are done by the book. That's not always bad. All right. You want your tax preparer to do things by the book, right? Maybe not. Sometimes you might want them to find that tax loophole, but, you definitely, bureaucratic is by the book. You're going to follow the standard operating procedures, hands down. If it's not in the book, you're not going to worry about it. Now, democratic, that is treating employees as equals who can contribute to decision making. That is maybe you have an employee meeting, your employees, you give them a problem that's arise, or you inform them of what's going on, and then you're giving them input into decision making, okay? You're not just by the book, you're not autocratic, you're including your employees in the decision making. So that's going to be democratic. Laissez-faire, don't get confused with that. A lot of students get confused with that. Laissez-faire does not and will not ever, well, let me say this. It could apply to your organization, but you will not succeed, because that's saying you do whatever the heck you want to do. I don't care. Guess what? How many employees are going to come to work 40 hours a week if you say do whatever you want to do? So your business is not going to succeed that way. Laissez-faire typically lends to those that you hire that come in and they do the job that you're hired them to do, such as maybe your pest control service. All right. They're going to come, you're going to have an agreement with them. They're going to come in, they're going to do their job. You're not going to tell them how to do their job. You've hired them to take care of the pest in your establishment. Or even like your supplier. You're not going to tell you're going to order your stuff. Your supplier is going to bring it in, right? They're going to do their job. That's typically laissez-faire. All right. Everybody understand that? All right. So you can read there some implications for managers, which is how can differing manager styles be used in day-to-day operations. Now, when you think about this, you may determine that you're going to line up with a couple of these. I know I did. I like to be a control hound, but I also like to involve the opinion of others. And then when it comes to by the book, if I have a structure for doing something, I want it done by that structure. And I'm able to say, hey, I've hired you to do this. So again, that's for me. That may not suit all of you. All right. You may decide that you want to be one of these particular management styles. You may decide that you want to be a combination of, okay? That's going to totally be up to you. My tidbit is, though, to be an effective manager, if you really think about it, you're going to be a little bit of all of these, right? I mean, you're going to have to be stern when you need to be. You're going to have to give people the rein to do their job that you've hired them to do. You're going to have to include the opinions of your employees. And then you put SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, into place for a reason, right? To reduce health risk or injuries or whatever on the job. So think about that. Think about the implications of each for yourself as a manager. You got to remember, managers are individuals, all right? Every manager, they're people just like you are. So they're developing attitudes, beliefs, personalities based on their own experiences. So you may get a manager that has had a team that's a pain in the butt. So they're a little more stickler for this or that or whatever. So, you know, sometimes as an employee, you got to remember, managers are people too. Let's talk a little bit about ethics, okay? Who can tell me what ethics is? What is workplace ethics in particular? It's in your book. If you're struggling, look in your book.
It refers to rules of appropriate behavior towards others at your job or at work.
Perfect. That is correct. They are guiding principles with lasting value that effective leaders use to set a professional tone and conduct in their operation, right? I have set, if you will, a school place ethics, meaning you guys need to behave responsibly when we're together. We need to dress appropriately. We need to be respectful of each other, right? When you're on campus in the labs, there are ethics that are in place that you have to follow. Now, some of us, we have no problem doing that. Others, I've seen attitudes in the kitchen. I've seen people that think their stuff is better than everybody else's. And I've seen, people feel like their space has been invaded and all that kind of stuff. So, ethics is a foundation for success. And it's a list of standards of conduct, values, and principles that are often different among people. We all have a different set of ethics. When you get in ethics class, some things that you're gonna discover about yourself. Ethics is not something that you're really born with. It's something that's instilled in you by your parents, by outside contributors, by experiences of life. You start developing your own code of ethics. All right. So let's take a closer look at some of those ethic decisions, or decisions that would be made based on ethics. One of those is honesty, right? One of your ethics is you may be an honest person, bottom line. And I would hope that we all tend to be honest. Integrity. What's integrity? Who can tell me what integrity is? That is one of my, if I was doing a job interview, that would be one of my top questions. What does integrity mean to some of you?
Jeff, I think it's like doing the right thing at all times, whether someone looking at you.
Say that again, RJ.
I said, I think it's doing the right thing at all times, whether somebody's looking at you or not.
Okay. All right. What else? Who else can give me a definition of integrity? Or do y'all agree with RJ?
We agree.
You agree. To me, integrity is
We should.
yeah. You agree? Okay. Okay. So integrity is doing what's right when nobody's looking in my book. What you would do behind closed doors. That's integrity. Integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. Bottom line. Loyalty to the organization, right? Whatever organization you're working for, you want to be loyal to them. Fairness. Concern and respect, commitment to excellence. You want to work for a company as a manager? Let me tell y'all something. I classify employment in two categories. All right. You can either work a job for the money to keep your lights on. That's a job. All right. You may hate it. You're there just for the paycheck. You could care less about that organization. You're not worried if that organization makes money or loses money. That's a job. All you want at the end of the day is that paycheck. And I get that, especially young people starting out, you're working a job so that you can pay your rent, pay your car insurance, all that kind of thing, all that kind of stuff. The other is a career. A career is something you're passionate about. A career is something that the money may be great, but you love doing it. Okay? That's a career, something you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life. And there is a difference between those two, right? I'm sure many of y'all are working a job to pay your bills. But let me tell you something. If you want to get out of that, cross that line, you're already doing it because guess what? You're enrolled at Helms, right? You're furthering your education. Hopefully some of y'all are going to go on and get your associate degree so that you can climb that ladder of success in employment. You chose Helms Culinary because obviously you either have a passion for others, you want to feed them good food, or you have a passion for food, all right? So, or you want to own your own business, but I'm going to give you a tidbit. Owning a business is harder than it looks and sounds, okay? It takes dedication, hard work, And the other thing I'm going to throw out at you is you need to start lining up. You need to define your goals. Where do you want to be in 10 years? And start setting yourself up to get there. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens through education, hard work, and dedication. Has everybody got me? Okay. So, commitment to excellence, leadership, reputation, and moral, and accountability. Can y'all hear the echo from me? Okay. I don't want to cut off. I want to keep going, so we'll get through it. Managers and professionals, they are professionals. I think y'all can look at that in chapter 1 and chapter 1. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit my microphone off and hit it back on and see if that'll change that real quick. Is that better? No. Okay, we're going to keep going to get through with this. Managers have to be professionals. It requires extensive knowledge, skills, and experience. That's what I'm talking about. You got to set yourself up for that. You've got to develop that. You have to get that. You can read more on professionalism. What should employees expect from their employers? I want you to read that on page 15 because you need to be a manager that your employees can expect that from you, okay? And then, of course, back to page 14, you can read the characteristics of a professional restaurant and food service manager. Make sure you look at that. We're almost done here. Let's take a look. Let's go to page 17, please. Keeping things in balance. Managers have to maintain a balance, right? They have to keep stress levels down. They have to manage stress concerns, such as irritability, insomnia, headaches. I know some of y'all, you're in class right now and you're tired. You don't feel good. You know, all those kind of things. You have to be prepared to manage those. Then you also have to take a look at, is the stress due to planning or scheduling? Am I overworking my employees? You have to be looking at that. Is the pressure that I'm putting on them too much? Is the lack of having proper equipment creating stress? You have to manage workplace stress, right? Manage by walking around. You need to monitor activities. All right. You need to make sure you're in your establishment so you know how your employees feel, right? All right. Now, time management concerns. Make sure that you're setting goals, you're planning, you're doing your decision making, you're delegating, and you're scheduling. Those are important. All right. Delegation. Who can tell me what delegation is?
The ability to be able to not only manage the staff, but also being able to parcel out tasks or requirements of the area or operation to be able to make sure that no one individual is overburdened with having to try to do too much, and at the same time, the entire staff is able to function as a whole.
Absolutely. So I want y'all to pay attention to all of these delegate to time, to manage time. That's important. On page 20, make sure you're reading through that, okay? Because there's preparation, there's planning, there's implementation, assessment, and appreciation. You got to make sure you're appreciating your employees. Show your appreciation. Tell them great job. There's also professional development practices there. If you'll look at Exhibit 111 on page 24, this is simply the things people do to further their careers. I've already touched on this, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. You need to set yourself up for your goals, right? Know what your career is. Know what educational path is required to get there. I know for me to be an instructor, I had applied here a couple of times and was denied a job, not because I didn't have the experience, but because I didn't have that associate degree under my belt. So what did I do? I got that degree, and guess what? I got the job. So know what it takes to get where you want to be. A mentor. Who knows what a mentor is? What is a mentor? RJ, what's a mentor? Gizmo, what's a mentor?
What's what?
What is a mentor?
A mentor is someone who can serve as a wise advisor, ideally a person in a higher position in a company and willing to serve in this capacity.
Perfect, perfect. A mentor is someone that's going to share their expertise and knowledge with you, right? They're going to guide you. All right, so I want y'all to finish up looking at all that. Look at networking. Look at restaurant food service leaders in their communities. You need to make sure you look at that, scroll through that. Because managers join community organizations, you know, those have a resume to be part of certain community organizations. All right, and we'll finish up this chapter. Does anybody have any questions with this chapter? Nope. All right. Make sure to turn in all your assignments for the day, and pre-test is open for you to take. Submit your syllabus, and we're off to a great start. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 10.
All right. Yeah, have a good one, Jeff.
Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye, Shell.